On Tuesday, the 7th of April, the Independent newspaper printed a story about the ex-WWE wrestling star, Hulk Hogan. In the days before, Hogan had posted on social media that Covid-19 was God's judgment on the world. Now, in one sense, we said something similar in the last video. Why is the world so broken? The Bible tells us it's because of sin. Adam and Eve disobeyed God, and the result was catastrophic. We don't live in the perfect world that God created at first. We live in a fallen world. Yet, that's not what Hogan is talking about here. He's saying that COVID-19 is a specific punishment as a result of sin today. He's not alone. Whenever disaster strikes, there's always a few who will put their head above the parapet and make the statement, or at least raise the question, that this is judgment from God. But is that true? Does the Bible really say that COVID-19 is punishment from God? That's the question we're going to answer today in short answers to big questions. Is COVID-19 punishment from God? What does the Bible say? In the Bible, God gives us two answers to that question. First, it tells us it might be. As we read through the Bible, there are times when God sends disaster as punishment for wrongdoing. In his post on Instagram, Hogan talked about the plagues on Egypt in the day of Moses. Here, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, hardened his heart towards God. He wouldn't obey. The result? 10 plagues. Could that be the case here? Let me ask you, as a world, do you think we follow God or don't follow God? As a nation, do you think we listen to God or don't listen to God? What's our attitude to the Bible? Does it guide us as we think about the laws of the country, or do we ignore it? Generally speaking, do we worship God or do we live our lives without reference to him? Is COVID-19 punishment from God? Maybe. That's the first answer the Bible gives. But it also gives us another one. Maybe not. One day Jesus met a man who had been born blind. The common view at the time was that any suffering could only be explained as a punishment from God. So his disciples asked Jesus a question. Rabbi, that means teacher, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus' reply is hugely important. He said, neither this man nor his parents sinned. What is Jesus teaching his disciples? Punishment and judgment are not the only answers to the presence of suffering in this world. We're also shown this in a book in the Old Testament about a man called Job. Job loses everything and suffers immensely. Throughout the book, his friends try to persuade him that he must have offended God in some great way. His suffering must be punishment from God. Yet as we read the book, we know that's not the case. The Bible tells us that there is no single answer to the reason for disasters such as COVID-19. If you want to think a bit more about that, I'll put a link in the description below to a short ebook we put together that looks at some of the reasons the Bible gives for suffering in the world. Is COVID-19 punishment from God? Maybe. But then maybe not. To be honest, we just don't know. But we do know this. The Bible tells us that God is not only a God who allows suffering in the world, he is also the God who willingly suffered for us. Jesus, God's own Son, didn't live a life of comfort and ease, and he didn't die a painless death. He experienced pain for us on the cross. He suffered to pay for sin and earn forgiveness that we can enjoy today through faith in him. Every time we ask the question of God and suffering, it's important to remember that. God is not someone who is detached from our pain. In Jesus, he has walked the road of suffering. Thanks for watching Short Answers to Big Questions. If you want to ask more questions, use the comments or contact us through our church website. The links are in the description below. If you want to know when we put out more of these videos, why not subscribe and click the notifications button? If you'd like to, you can also join us for our Sunday services. They're available through our YouTube channel. We upload a playlist each Sunday morning with songs, prayers, children's talk and a Bible talk. It would be great if you could join us.